I don't wish it on him, you
Right.
know what I'm saying? I don't wish it on him. And I love him through it. Whatever he going through, I love him through it. Much criticism as I receive about my son, I would like to shed light on the fact.
Atlanta's night was supposed to be peaceful, but at exactly 3 a.m., the silence was shattered with terrifying news that sent shockwaves through the city.
King Harris, son of hip-hop icons T.I. and Tiny, was fighting for his life in the ICU. His fragile body was strapped to machines, heart rate dropping like sand through an hourglass. Doctors huddled together, whispering those chilling words no family ever wants to hear: prepare for the worst. In that moment, the Harris family's nightmare became reality, and the entire rap world held its breath. Inside Grady Memorial, fluorescent lights flickered, alarms screamed, and doctors scrambled around his bed like soldiers in a war zone, desperately trying to keep him alive. This wasn't just a medical crisis, it looked like a horror scene unfolding in real time. And with every new leak, every new rumor, every revelation that hit the internet like dynamite, the story grew darker. Tiny, King's mother, collapsed in the hospital hallway, her cries echoing down the corridor so loud that nurses had to physically hold her up. Her body shook uncontrollably, and the heartbreaking scene, caught on camera, spread like wildfire online. Within minutes, hashtags like #PrayForKing and #JusticeForKing Harris were trending worldwide, pulling millions of fans into the family's grief. But as the world cried, disturbing details surfaced that made the tragedy feel far more sinister. A leaked medical report hinted that King's wounds weren't from a simple jailhouse scuffle. No. Insiders claimed his body carried signs of calculated torture, wounds too precise, too deliberate to come from just fists and kicks. This wasn't random violence. This looked like a warning, a message, a cruel reminder that someone wanted him broken, maybe even silenced forever. Then came the audio leak that froze hearts across the country. In a grainy recording, a prison guard's voice could be heard whispering, "The order came from above. We just cleared the way." That single line flipped the internet upside down. Who gave the order? Who wanted King Harris silenced so badly that his beating resembled a planned execution instead of a fight? Fans, bloggers, and conspiracy theorists erupted with theories, pointing fingers at rival gangs, industry enemies, even shadowy political and prison figures. Some whispered that maybe this wasn't just about King at all. Maybe it was about shutting down the entire Harris family once and for all. And just when it felt like the story couldn't get more chilling, an even darker rumor exploded online. A shocking ICU CCTV clip began circulating online, allegedly showing masked men sneaking into King Harris's hospital room in the dead of night, tampering with his life support machines. If the footage is real, it suggests King's life wasn't even safe inside a hospital filled with doctors and guards. Forces far bigger than anyone imagined wanted him gone. Outside the hospital, chaos boiled over. Protesters, fans, and family members crowded the streets chanting "Protect King" and holding candles in the cold Atlanta air. Some were crying, others were praying, while many shouted for justice with fists in the air. The atmosphere was electric, grief clashing with fury in a way that shook the whole city. Inside, T.I. himself was a shell of the man people were used to seeing. The rapper who always projected strength now looked broken, pacing the halls with trembling hands, his voice cracking as he spoke directly into cameras. "My son is being targeted like he's some kind of enemy. He's just a kid. Please, someone stop this madness." His raw, desperate plea went viral in seconds, pulling waves of sympathy from some and cold comments from others who heartlessly claimed this was karma for T.I.'s past. The internet instantly split in two, half rallying behind the Harris family with support and prayers, half mocking their pain and spinning conspiracy memes, turning a deeply personal nightmare into a global spectacle. And then came the footage nobody was prepared for. An anonymous source dropped a clip claiming to show two hooded figures slipping into King's ICU room at 2:47 a.m. One crouched by his bed while the other acted as lookout by the door, and then cut to black. The clip ended before showing more, but the implication was terrifying. Someone was actively sabotaging his recovery inside a hospital. Nurses and doctors, already stretched to their limits, were reportedly whispering their fears about outside interference. That even within those hospital walls, King's life wasn't safe. One whistleblower nurse even revealed that King's ventilator mysteriously shut off for several seconds earlier that night before alarms blared, only for the footage of that exact moment to vanish from hospital records. Was it a coincidence or a full-blown cover-up? cover-up. Nobody knew, but the internet exploded with outrage and theories. A shocking ICU CCTV clip tore across the internet, allegedly showing masked men creeping into King Harris's hospital room in the dead of night and tampering with his life support machines. If that video is real, it means King wasn't even safe inside a hospital filled with doctors, nurses, and security, because forces way bigger than anyone imagined wanted him gone. Outside those hospital walls, chaos erupted into something uncontainable. Protesters, fans, and family members flooded the streets chanting "Protect King" while holding candles in the freezing Atlanta air. Some prayed, others screamed for justice. The air itself felt electric, charged with pain and rage. Inside, T.I. was a shadow of the man the world thought they knew. The rapper who built a reputation on strength now paced the hospital halls like a broken soul. Hands trembling, voice cracking as he begged cameras. "My son is being targeted like he's some kind of enemy. He's just a kid. Please, someone stop this madness." His emotional plea went viral instantly, pulling oceans of sympathy from some, while others coldly typed comments claiming this was karma for T.I.'s past. The internet split like a fault line. Half of people crying with the Harris family, half mocking them, turning private pain into a worldwide spectacle. But nothing prepared the world for what dropped next. An anonymous source released what they claimed was hospital CCTV footage. Two hooded figures entering King's ICU room at 2:47 a.m. One crouched low by his bed, the other lurking at the door as lookout. Then the clip cut to black. The meaning was clear. Someone was sabotaging his recovery on purpose. Inside the hospital, whispers ran wild. Nurses and doctors, already overwhelmed, spoke in hushed tones about outside interference. A whistleblower nurse even revealed that King's ventilator mysteriously shut off for several seconds earlier that same night before alarms went crazy. Yet footage of that exact moment had somehow vanished from hospital records. Coincidence? Or a cover-up? Online fury exploded as accusations swirled. Fans claimed powerful players were pulling strings, erasing evidence, and silencing King forever. Meanwhile, the Harris family's grief poured out for the whole world to see. Tiny was filmed outside the ICU, sobbing so violently she almost collapsed, begging through tears, "Don't take my baby, don't take him from me." The heartbreaking clip went viral on TikTok and Instagram, replayed millions of times. T.I., unable to hold back his rage, allegedly punched walls, screamed at doctors, and accused the hospital of hiding the truth. Witnesses claimed his fury got so explosive that security had to step in after he smashed a chair in anger. Images of a father in pure anguish spread like fire, painting him not just as a man fighting for his son, but as a man fighting a whole system he believed was out to erase them. And then came an even darker twist. King's blood reportedly tested positive for foreign toxins. Substances that had nothing to do with the jailhouse beating, nothing connected to prescribed hospital medication. Whispers spread fast. Was someone poisoning him inside the hospital? Anonymous hacker groups fueled the fire, claiming they hacked into hospital files and posting cryptic messages. They're not saving King. They're finishing him. The city outside turned into a battleground. Protesters clashed with riot police stationed at the hospital entrance. Tear gas filled the air as chants for justice echoed across Atlanta. Social media live streams captured every second, millions watching in real time as the city burned with fury over King's fate. By sunrise, this wasn't just about a teenager fighting for his life. It had become a war of narratives. Some insisted King was paying for the sins of his father. Others screamed this was an industry plot to silence him before he could speak out. Every rumor, every leak, every scream from the ICU made the truth harder to pin down. One thing was undeniable, though. King Harris was caught in a storm bigger than himself. A storm powerful enough to shatter not only his family, but possibly the entire hip-hop industry. As dawn broke over Atlanta, the nightmare deepened. King's condition slipped from critical but stable into something far more terrifying. Doctors whispered about organ failure while nurses rushed from room to room carrying trays of emergency drugs. Every beep from the machine strapped to King's fragile body hit his family like a hammer to the chest. Around 5 a.m., T.I. and Tiny were pulled into a private room and told the words no parent should ever hear. "If we don't see improvement soon, we may have to discuss letting him go." That single sentence shattered the Harris family to pieces. Tiny collapsed again, her scream so loud that staff said they shook the entire floor. Witnesses claim she fainted from the shock and had to be treated herself. A secret recording of that breakdown leaked online, flooding millions of feeds, turning the internet into a river of tears. People didn't just see grief, they felt it raw and unfiltered, as if the entire world was watching a mother lose her soul in real time. But just when it felt like nothing could get worse, another confidential leak shook everything even harder. A report surfaced claiming King's bloodstream carried traces of a mysterious substance, something that didn't match any treatment given by doctors. Analysts quickly ruled out common drugs, making the implication undeniable. This wasn't just a medical emergency, this looked like sabotage. Someone had slipped poison into his IV line while he was lying helpless in that bed. The revelation exploded across social media, fueling hashtags like ICUB breach and protect King Harris. Fans demanded answers. How could the son of one of hip-hop's biggest names, a high-profile patient in one of Atlanta's busiest hospitals, be left so exposed? Within hours, anonymous accounts dropped another bombshell clip, supposed CCTV footage showing two hooded figures creeping into King's ICU around the same time. One bent low near his bed while the other stood guard at the door. The clip cut off before showing more, but the message was crystal clear. This wasn't random harm. Someone wanted King gone for good. The chaos outside matched the storm inside. Protesters and fans packed the streets, some clutching candles, others raising signs that screamed, "Justice for King." Helicopters circled overhead while riot police tried to hold the line against a sea of furious demonstrators. The hospital no longer looked like a place of healing. It looked like a battleground. Reporters swarmed the scene, cameras capturing every scream, every tear, every clash. The Harris family's private agony was no longer private. It was global, broadcast to millions. Tiny's relatives, overwhelmed with grief, reportedly turned on T.I., accusing him of bringing a curse onto the family with his past lifestyle. T.I., red-eyed and furious, snapped back, "This ain't karma, this is murder." The heated exchange, caught on camera, went viral instantly, fueling the divide online even more. The internet split deeper than ever. Half the world convinced King was the victim of a sinister plot, the other half cruelly insisting the family was paying for past sins. And then, like throwing gasoline on fire, another chilling leak dropped. This time not from a nurse or guard, but allegedly from a high-ranking official tied directly to Georgia's prison system. In a muffled phone call, a chilling voice whispered the words that froze everyone in their tracks. "If the boy talks, everything collapses. He can't leave that bed alive." That one sentence set the entire internet on fire. Suddenly, this wasn't just about King Harris being attacked because of who his father was. Fans now believed King was holding secrets so dangerous that powerful forces wanted him silenced forever. Outside the hospital, T.I., red-eyed, broken, and trembling, stood before reporters and doubled down. "My son is a victim of a system that would rather silence him than protect him. This ain't no accident. This is planned." His fiery words split the internet even deeper. Some stood behind him, calling him a brave father exposing the truth, while others mocked him, claiming he was using tragedy to grab sympathy. But no matter what people believed, one fact could not be denied. The Harris family was living through a nightmare, and the whole world was watching. Inside the ICU, the horror kept piling up. A whistleblower nurse risked her entire career by revealing that King's ventilator mysteriously shut off for several seconds in the dead of night before alarms went wild. When staff tried to review the security footage from that exact moment, the files were gone, deleted, like they never existed at all. Coincidence or deliberate cover-up? Fans didn't hesitate for a second. They screamed cover-up and flooded social media with conspiracy threads. Theories spread like wildfire. Some swore this was mafia-style revenge. Others claimed jealous rappers were behind it, and many insisted government hands were pulling strings from the shadows. Everyone had a theory, but one thing was certain: King Harris's life was dangling by a thread. Even celebrities started speaking out, making the storm grow even bigger. Cardi B went live in tears saying, "That baby don't deserve this. I don't care what people think about his daddy. Pray for King, man." Her emotional plea had fans crying across the globe. Then Snoop Dogg added fuel to the fire with a cryptic warning: "The industry ain't what it seems. Protect your kids. They after all of us." Those words sent chills through social media, like a confirmation of what fans already feared, that something much larger, much darker was happening behind the scenes. Meanwhile, the hospital itself turned into a fortress. Security was tripled after furious protesters tried storming the entrance. Police lined the doors in full riot gear. The building no longer looked like a hospital. It looked like a war zone, with King Harris's fragile life at the very center of it all. Inside, doctors grew more desperate by the hour. They whispered words no family should ever hear, phrases like multi-organ failure and irreversible damage, cold medical terms that shattered the Harris family over and over again. One insider claimed T.I. completely lost control, punching walls, screaming at doctors, and shouting, "Don't tell me to let go! You're lying! You're not doing enough!" His rage terrified patients and staff alike, but it also revealed the raw truth. This was not the voice of a superstar. This was the voice of a broken father watching his son slip away. Meanwhile, Tiny clutched King's hand so tightly that nurses had to pull her back. Neither parent would leave his side, even as doctors warned the hours ahead would decide everything. By sunrise, social media drowned in a flood of unverified leaks, each one scarier than the last. One chilling claim spread like wildfire that King had actually been declared clinically dead for nearly 2 minutes before doctors shocked his heart back to life with electric paddles. If true, it meant the Harris family had already watched their son die once, only for him to be dragged back from the brink. That revelation sent fans into a frenzy, with millions sobbing at the thought of a mother nearly losing her child in real time. Some even speculated that someone was deliberately keeping King trapped between life and death, like his survival itself was being toyed with. By noon, what started as a private family tragedy had exploded into an international scandal. Protesters outside the hospital had swelled from hundreds to thousands, chanting louder, crying harder, demanding justice. Helicopters hovered above as Atlanta began to look like a city under siege. Inside, T.Y. and Tiny refused to leave King's bedside, clinging to him even as his body showed terrifying signs of shutting down. Doctors repeated the same haunting phrase, "Prepare for the worst," and when that phrase leaked online, it went viral instantly. The hashtag #Prepare for King shot straight to the top of global trends, millions posting prayers, videos, and desperate pleas for a miracle. But the prayers came with darker whispers too, rumors that this wasn't fate at all, but a carefully orchestrated plot by powerful hands determined to finish what started inside that jail cell. By nightfall, Atlanta was a city on edge. Grady Memorial Hospital no longer resembled a place of healing. It looked like a fortress under siege. Riot police stood shoulder to shoulder guarding the doors. Helicopters buzzed overhead and thousands of fans filled the streets with signs and candles chanting "Justice for King." The world wasn't just watching anymore, it was demanding answers. Inside the ICU, the atmosphere was suffocating. King's condition had hit rock bottom, his lungs failing, kidneys shutting down, and every hour dragging him closer to the edge. Doctors whispered words no parent should ever hear, repeating again, "Prepare for the worst." And when those words leaked once more, they ripped through the internet like a lightning bolt, fueling panic so massive that #PrepareForKing became the #1 trending topic worldwide. People weren't just sending prayers, they were begging, pleading, crying for a miracle. And then came the most terrifying claim of all. King Harris had allegedly been declared clinically dead again for 2 whole minutes before doctors shocked his heart back with electric paddles. A whistleblower insisted the team had to use the paddles twice to bring him back, painting the image of a young man pulled from death's grip more than once. That revelation broke fans completely, some sobbing uncontrollably, others growing convinced this wasn't destiny, but design. The belief spread fast. Someone was deliberately keeping King trapped in a nightmarish cycle, balancing between life and death and refusing to let him escape. T.I. and Tiny's grief boiled over into open war against the hospital. Witnesses described how T.I. erupted in pure rage after hearing his son's heart had stopped. Storming into the ICU hallway, screaming at administrators, "If my son dies, I swear the truth will come out." Y'all think this is medicine? No, this is murder. His fury was so explosive, he allegedly smashed a chair against the wall before security restrained him. The footage leaked online almost instantly, sending shockwaves across social media with millions watching a father's breaking point unfold in real time. Meanwhile, Tiny was filmed falling to her knees outside the ICU doors, clutching a rosary and sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. That heartbreaking moment replayed endlessly on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, anchors calling it one of the saddest scenes of the year. Fans across the globe cried as they watched a mother beg God to save her child. The Harris family's private pain had become one of the most public tragedies of our time. A moment where grief, conspiracy, and spectacle collided all at once. But the storm wasn't slowing down. It was only getting bigger. Anonymous hackers claimed they had breached hospital files and released a confidential report showing King's bloodstream contained foreign toxins, substances that didn't match any medication prescribed by doctors. The hackers didn't just leak files. They dropped a chilling statement. They're not saving King. They're finishing him. That revelation poured gasoline on an already raging fire. Protesters outside the hospital erupted, chanting, "Cover up! Cover up!" while others clashed with police. Tear gas filled the streets as live streams captured the chaos in real time. Millions tuning in to watch Atlanta transform into a city of unrest, all over the fate of King Harris. Even the celebrity world couldn't stay silent anymore. 50 Cent jumped on Instagram calling out industry snakes he claimed orchestrated the attack. Meek Mill tweeted, "They tried to silence the next generation before they even start. This ain't no accident." Then Kanye West added his own cryptic post. "This is what happens when you say no to them. They punish your bloodline." Each statement threw more fuel on the fire, convincing fans even further that King wasn't just a victim of random violence. He was caught in the middle of a much bigger war, one that reached deep into industry power, prison corruption, and politics. The theories hit wild new levels. Some swore jealous rappers had set this up out of revenge, others claimed rival gangs wanted to send T.I. a message, and more extreme voices insisted government officials were silencing King because of something he knew. Anonymous accounts even claimed King had been working on an unreleased track allegedly exposing powerful names in the industry, and that this was the real reason behind his brutal attack. Whether true or not, the speculation had spiraled completely out of control. The internet wasn't just following the story anymore, it was driving it. Minute by minute, leak by leak, post by post, King Harris's life had turned into a global spectacle. Every tear from his parents, every scream from his fans, every whisper of sabotage was feeding a fire that refused to die down. Then came the footage that froze the world in shock, a supposed ICU camera feed showing two masked men lurking outside King's hospital room, one holding what looked like a small black case. Conspiracy theorists swore it contained poison or tools to tamper with medical equipment. Real or fake, it didn't matter. The clip went viral within minutes, convincing millions that King was still under attack, even inside the safest place he could be. By late evening, T.I. himself stepped outside to face the massive crowd gathered in the streets. His face streaked with tears, his body trembling, his voice cracking as he cried out, "They told me to prepare for the worst. But how do you prepare for losing your child? My boy's in there fighting for his life while the world watches. Please, I'm begging you. Pray harder than you've ever prayed. He doesn't deserve this. None of this is fair." That heartbreaking plea shattered the internet, replayed millions of times on every platform. Fans described it as one of the rawest, most emotional moments ever seen from a rap legend. A father stripped bare by pain, begging the world to pray for his son. But even as those words echoed across social media, the rumors refused to stop. Some were convinced this wasn't a jail fight gone wrong. It was an assassination attempt, carefully orchestrated from the top down. Why did prison cameras conveniently cut out during the attack? Who gave the order for guards to stand down? Who made sure hospital leaks kept disappearing from records? The questions kept piling up, but the answers stayed buried in the shadows. Inside, doctors delivered the coldest reality. The next 24 hours were critical. King Harris was still clinging to life, trapped between survival and tragedy, still the center of one of the darkest stories Atlanta had ever seen. Once again, the Harris family was told to prepare for the unthinkable, but they refused to let go, holding on to faith while the entire world held its breath. Here's the truth. This isn't gossip. It isn't just entertainment. What's happening to King Harris is a tragedy unfolding in real time. A storm that shattered his family, divided fans, and shook the entire industry to its core. And the scariest part? Every leak, every scream, every whispered rumor feels like only the beginning. Behind the curtains, darker secrets are waiting to explode. Secrets that could shake not just Atlanta, but the entire world. When the next bomb drops, will King survive this nightmare? Or will the Harris family face the most devastating loss of all? Only time will tell, but one thing's for certain, this story is far from over. And if you don't want to miss a single second of this storm as it unfolds, make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe, drop a comment with your thoughts, and share this with everyone you know. This is Starbuzz Daily, and we'll be here watching every moment, bringing you the truth the world needs to see.